I
We're
haven't heard.
live.
I haven't heard the ping yet. Have you heard the ping?
No, I haven't heard the ping, Justin.
Have
No,
you? Have you seen the ping?
I haven't seen. I haven't seen a ping. Not a single ping.
All right. Good. Good. So it's a packed show this week. We've got a lot to get through this week. An awful lot to get through. So what's first on the news this week then?
Well, Justin, there's absolute huge amount of news on this week. I've cut it down because we have a lot to go through tonight. We have our news, we have our whiskey tasting from the Irish American, and then we have the Indian video. We're going to talk a little bit about Indian whiskey. We've talked about this numerous times before, but this is a sort of an Irish special, and we do an interview with a really interesting guy. I've really, as soon as I read the bio of him, I kind of thought, I wouldn't mind talking to this guy. So,
we've got a bit of tasting to do as well.
Well, why? That's what I said. The Irish American tasting from our good friends at the Irish American. So all the winners, as far as I know, got them. One person got a double bubble, so they did, Justin. There's an accidental. One guy got a double bubble, but he said he would give it to his friend, and they were going to tune in and watch the show. So good. I'm not on Guinness tonight, Justin. We've decided to change it. We're on Belfast Black.
Okay, yeah.
From the Whitewater Brewing Company. I love this stuff. This is really good, but I don't get it locally, so I have to travel to go and get it. But,
okay, right.
Lovely jubbly.
What made you change your mind tonight?
I like Belfast Black, Justin. I was doing a bit of shopping and I seen it sitting. I haven't had it for a wee while, and I thought that's the one. We'll pick up a couple of bottles of that. So yeah, very nice. Now, news item, Justin. Now, we have this week, biggest news is the launch of Midleton 2021. Now, this is an annual release. The Midletons come out every year, and it's now got that it's pretty much a feeding frenzy. They came out and announced they were going to release this early. The reason being that they said they were releasing it early, or there's a caveat to that too, because that way they could give it to people who were having birthdays or anniversaries or that kind of thing. Now, it's become hugely collectible, and as soon as it comes out, there's a bit of a feeding frenzy. So they...
Can I hear a dog whining?
Don't even start. You'll not believe this. I have my neighbour's dog in, and do you know why?
You couldn't make this up.
My neighbour has two dogs, right? A boy and a girl. Totally different breeds. There's a whole backstory to the whole thing. And she's in heat, and he hasn't had the snippy. So he's been going absolutely bonkers. And he asked me, would I look after his dog for the night? Because he can't move without the dog trying to hump his leg. Oh. So he asked me if I look after him. So
we'll be getting Zuckerberg if you talk about the dogs again.
Don't be talking about Zuckerberg. Australia got Zuckerberg this week. So you getting done last week wasn't the worst. Australia, right. the whole country got done.
Right.
Now, getting back to Midleton 2021. This is the first outing of Kevin O'Gorman, who's the new head distiller and head of maturation down there after Brian Nason left. Now, last year's was on a small run. There was a small amount of it, and it was Brian Nason's last outing. The prices of these have just skyrocketed. So these ones have been, this is the first one for Kevin. And this year's has a higher grain content, aged in first and second fill American oak for between 15 and 36 years. It has been announced by Irish Distillers spokesman that it was released early so people could buy it for anniversaries, and 50% of it was released yesterday. Well, not really. Technically, there's three releases, because the website, Midleton's own website, released it on Thursday, and it sold out in seconds. Then, yesterday, it was released, and again, for example, the Celtic Whiskey Shop, it collapsed. The website on it collapsed because there's so many people trying to buy it. They're buying it now to flip it. There's a huge amount of people buying it to flip it. The other people who are buying to drink it, they're buying it because they have to panic buy it now before they have to pay double for it at an auction price at auctions. So it's becoming a bit of a frenzy thing. There's other. It's getting to be that some people are getting a bit annoyed with this. There's been releases of Bushmills, the Causeway Coast collection. They released those all across Europe and across. There's global travel retail ones, and people can't get their hands on them. And there's loads of people who
they're going to catch on to this sooner or later, Marty, aren't they?
Well, what's going to happen is people are going to have to be forced to make a choice, because there's only so many times that people will say, right, okay, I don't mind paying a bit extra to secure one at an auction site, but they're not going to do it forever. And what they'll do is brand loyalty will start taking over, and people say, well, I'll not bother too much with that. If I can get a bottle, I'll get a bottle, and if I can't, I can't. I think this is just because Irish whiskey's in an embryonic stage, really, that this is where this is coming from. So people are collecting these. Most people I know buy whiskey to drink and have a little bit of a collection there as well. I have some bottles, and did an interview there last week where I said at the minute I just couldn't afford to open them. That's just the truth. I have bought them, had them sitting, thinking, well, I'll open them possibly sometime, and now suddenly they're worth £200, £300, £400, £500. I have a couple of bottles that are worth well in excess of £1,000. I just couldn't afford to open those, and the way the economies go, the way things work's going and stuff, it's just going to be, they're going to sit there until I need to sell them, and that's just the way of the thing. So Middleton 2021 was launched this week. There's another release of it in the autumn, and that's supposedly another 50% of what they have. Now, it's not a second batch. It's explicitly said this. It's not batch 1 and batch 2. They're all already bottled. This is just a 50% release, and then later on in the year there'll be another release of it. So if you haven't got a bottle, do not buy one at auction and pay a silly price. There's another round in August, so you might be lucky there. Don't be in any panic. Don't if you have the money, fine, no problem. But I wouldn't be in any massive rush to buy it. Okay.
Okay. All right. What's next this week?
Now, other big news this week. Our friends down at Waterford, co-authored or certainly helped to pay for a peer-reviewed paper published by the Teagasc Food Research Centre, the Oregon State University, and Boar Malt. And it states, this study clearly demonstrates variations in the contribution of the aroma, active volatiles, and sensory attributes in the new mixed spirits, which reflects changes in barley growth in relation to environmental elements, including soil nutrients and prevailing seasonal weather patterns. Therefore, it reveals a terroir effect. Now,
have I put the wrong graphic up? Our dram whiskey passes French wine test. Is that the wrong thing?
Yeah, no, that's the wee dram. That's from the Times. Yeah, right. That's the right one. No, Mark Rainier has been saying this for a long time. Now, there's plenty of people have said that doesn't hold true, that the barley really doesn't have a huge influence on the new mixed spirit, because basically it gets fermented. You're taking out the congeners, the flavor compounds, then you're boiling them. And a lot of people said, well, where it's grown doesn't really make a huge amount of difference. Mark Rainier has always argued that it does. And now it seems that the science backs him up. Now, this is fairly important because this terroir idea it comes from the French wine. And there's some French wines that are grown on one side of a mountain are £50 a bottle. Grown on the other side of the mountain or across the valley, and they're 5 times the price because they say they're so much better. And it's this terroir effect, that the environment, and it's more than just the environment, but it's where it's grown and how it's grown, etc. And to say that this is what's happening in whiskey, well, you could end up having a regional basis now for certainly Scotch or possibly Irish whiskies. So this could have, there will still be some debate about this because our friend of the show, Vic Cameron, I've heard say many a time, the barley has pretty much no influence on it at all. I don't know, but the paper was published, and what we'll do is we'll put up the paper. So anybody can have a look at it and read at it if they want. It's a scientific paper, so it's not a page turner, but anybody who's that way inclined might want to have a look at it. It is interesting. I won't argue with the State University of Oregon,
Right. Neither would I. So
No.
it's a funny one, that, but isn't it?
It is. I think the thing about it is, if you start narrowing things down, then there probably has to be some difference between certain types of barley grown in one place and certain types of barley grown somewhere else. I think that is inevitable. But in terms of mass production, if you're making, hundreds of thousands, millions of liters of something, well, you can't do it from one field. So it proves that there is, but it might not have a huge effect on big volume sales, which we'll be talking more about later.
Now, after our Japanese Scottish love story last week, we've got another Japanese story this week.
Well, this is funny. This is about this. The terroir is basically about that regionality. The Japanese changed the law this week. Well, the Japanese Spirit and Liquor Association changed the rules. If you remember, I've said this a few times before, that the Japanese do some very strange practices that wouldn't be acceptable in Ireland or Scotland.
Okay.
Mainly that for a long time it's been talked about how they buy in spirit from other places, i.e. mainly Scotland. They buy in whiskey from Scotland, mix up some of their own grain, neutral spirits and all this kind of stuff, and call it Japanese whiskey. And they've been allowed to do this, but there's now tightening of the rules. So, for example, Nikka from the Barrel, which is one of the best whiskies, certainly, one of the favourite whiskies from Japan, has, under this regulations now, technically isn't Japanese whiskey. Now, Nikka, I'll just read from the statement here that Nikka have put out. We've decided to provide further information for individual products on our website to clearly distinguish between products in Nikka Whiskey's lineup, which contain both whiskies that are defined as Japanese whiskey according to the labelling standards, and those that do not meet all the criteria. We feel this is an important step towards ensuring customer clarity so that they can reasonably decide which products to buy, and information will be updated if the status changes.
Is there a graphic for this, Marty?
There should be a bottle of Nikka, yep.
Is it is it one that looks like cologne? Actually, is it? I think it does. Does it? Looks a bit. There it is. There, yeah, it does look a bit like cologne.
What's a square bottle? Yep.
Yeah, it is.
Seeing it in the flesh, it doesn't really look like it at all.
Right.
Now, in Japan, this hasn't really been seen as a big deal. Lots of people in Japan know all about this. They just want to taste whatever it is. So the Japanese have always blended whiskey. That's really what they're known for. But imported whiskey would be mixed with what's called shochu. Please don't shoot me if you're Japanese for my pronunciation. But basically, shochu is distilled from rice, barley, sweet potatoes, buckwheat, brown sugar. It's basically a grain neutral spirit, so it doesn't really taste of anything. So it can pretty much be made from anything. But that's added into Scotch and it's blended. Now, I know lots of people that are big fans of Nikka from the Barrel, but technically that wouldn't be Japanese whiskey now under the Japanese Association. So interesting that you have the week that terroir has been scientifically proven and Japanese whiskey basically being forced to stick to a more traditional regionality from outside Japan. So yeah, quite interesting.
Okay. So Will it make a big difference? People will have to stick to it, or will there be people that sort of skirt the rules and come up with innovative things anyway?
Well, anyone who's not a member of the association can still do what they like. So there's an infographic that I got from a website, which we'll also put up. Which
is that it there? The graphical extract, is it? Yeah.
I don't know. I can't see it, Justin. Can't see
it's
it.
Like a purple bow tie in things, is it? Yeah.
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 That basically runs through. It's very hard to see. It'd be very hard to see on the screen.
Hold on. Can I make it bigger like that? There. Yes. There we go.
No. That is for the terroir.
Right.
Right. That's not. No. There's an infographic. I'll put it up afterwards.
Okay. Right. I thought I maybe had it.
No. Right. So the Japanese whiskey. There's a big infographic, and we'll put it through on the website or on the Facebook page so you get to see it. Now, Jameson, on the next story, Jameson are wanting everybody in America to take St. Paddy's Day off.
I thought it was cancelled.
No, well, what they've found, what the study has suggested, it has been saying that people are not taking time off in the States. And it's even worse during COVID because lots of people are at home working anyway.
Workaholics they are. They need a good strap. They're like the Japanese. They work too much.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily say they need short, Justin, but that would be a bit extreme. But what I'm saying is they're not taking time off. So when they're at home, it kind of feels as if they're kind of off a bit anyway. So they're taking even less. So what they're asking is for people to take time off.
Is this what this means? St. Paddy's Day time off? It's like some weird insult. Sputo. Am I speaking Japanese or am I speaking Irish? Sputo.
Well, PTO. I didn't know this, but apparently in the States, PTO means personal time off. Over here, it means.
I thought it was the shaft at the back of a tractor, power transfer, whatever.
Well, I always thought it was please turn over. You wrote it at the bottom of a letter, but no, in the States, apparently this means personal time off.
Oh boy, who makes this thing up?
Well, what they're wanting people to do is they're wanting people in the US to take the time off. So they've created cocktail recipes, Zoom backgrounds, which they're putting up there. And if you fill in a form, you win a chance to win $50 to spend on St. Paddy's Day.
Right.
You can even buy Jameson with it if you want.
Okay.
Plus, they will donate $50 to the Restaurant Workers Community Foundation, in addition to the $150,000 they're already donating, which is very, very generous. That's a considerable amount of money. That charity is basically for people who restaurants have been closed. People are not. They might be getting some money for not working, but they're not getting any tips. So these people are.
That's rough.
That is rough in the States. So yeah, so that's what Jameson's trying to do. Now they want to give away $50 and $50 to charity on top of $150,000 that they're really giving, which I think is really generous, really nice, and a good thing to do. So take time off, folks. You need to take time off. It's very good. I'd like time on because we can't get work in this weather, but it would be nice. Now, last thing I want to talk. We've a couple of little plugs for friends of the show. So the first up is our good friends down from Slieve League, down in the Ardara distillery. Posted a couple of pictures of their stills, which are being made by Forsyths over in Glasgow, over in Scotland.
Where do we get them? There we go. That's them.
Now, one of the things that you'll notice about the still is that the swan neck is a bit offset. It's a bit off center, which I sent a message to him. Why was this? And he says it's a nod to history. It's to do with reflux. And when he did it, Mr. Forsyth himself was quite impressed by this. So yeah, so that would be a good job. It's interesting. So yeah, a slightly offset swan neck. Now, yeah. So we're interested. We'll keep an eye on this because I know this has been they've had setbacks and stuff, and they're always on the show, always comment, always very supportive, and have been from day one. So it's nice to see everything starting to take shape from that. Now, our friends over at WD O'Connell, Dahi O'Connell, this week offered a cask share of a Finoan O'Connor's non-GI pot still historic mash bills project down in the Bowen Distillery. Now, okay, I want to cover the non-GI pot stills at some other point, but this is the first of the. What you do is you buy a share in a cask. Now you're going to have to wait 10 years on a return, but this will be. I'm going to say that this is worth it, because if you want something collectible, this is probably going to be one of the collectibles. Finoan O'Connor wrote a book called A Glass Apart, which is the history of pot still Irish whiskey. He's doing a PhD on historic mash bills, and now
is there any left of this? Because I thought we bought the 150 ourselves.
We're trying to artificially inflate the price. We're like the art market.
Oh, right. Oh, sorry, Marty. Sorry.
There's only 150 bottles. Now, I don't know. I'm not sure whether this is sold out or not. I'm guessing it probably is. But there'll be more of these coming. Keep an eye out. Dahi is doing cask shares where you can buy bottles and casks that are probably hard to get. So this is a way of you owning a bit of a cask without paying too much. So 65 quid a bottle. Yeah. So of course I bought one. So yeah, it's nice. And the last one is our good friend Chef Rob Curley is doing another Slimish Market Supper Club.
Right. Yeah.
So it's lined up. What he does is he's pre-preparing the food. You make it at home. I think it's very straightforward. It's not very complicated to make at home, and he has it all basically packed up for you. So if you go onto his Facebook page, he will direct you as to where to go and how to take part, should you wish. So that's the news for this week. Justin, now let's go on to tasting some whiskey.
Well, no. I want to do something first. Okay.
Not on screen, Justin. Not on screen.
Will I tell you? After we taste this whiskey, we've got to go somewhere special, right? And this is a little taster of where we're going. This is a little taster. Now, what did you make of that? What did you make of that, Marty?
I mean, Justin, there's distilleries built in really beautiful places, and they are beautiful over here and in Scotland as well. But let's be honest, in the Himalaya, it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, well, I heard that story, and that's why I got in touch with him, because I thought this is an interesting story.
Well, the good news is I've managed to re-establish the link, so we're all set. So listen, what are we doing first? I'm going to run through some of the on screen while you talk us through it. So talk away.
Okay, now we'll start off with the Irish American blend, which everybody knows, 40% blend. Will be single malt and grain whiskey. We'll crack her open. Give her a little pour.
Now, that's the one with the pale label, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the one that says blend on it. Classic blend. American oak.
Yep.
Aged in
Okay.
American oak. So I assume it's aged in bourbon casks. No more information on it. So we'll give it a little
I think
run around the glass.
I can show the bottle there. That's what you're missing. That's the bottle. And it has to catch up at Marty's end, by the way. That's why Marty pauses. Don't you worry.
Mm.
Can you see it on screen? That's the bottle in a beautiful sort of fjord-like inlet somewhere in the Republic of Ireland, I think. Yeah, by the looks of it.
Right. Right. So we'll give it a wee nose.
Okay.
It's very light, very floral.
That is light, that one.
Yeah, it's very, very floral note. Not that. So it's quite floral. Normally means that it's quite grain. There's quite a lot of grain whiskey. Grain whiskey tends to be a lot lighter and floral. Yeah. So there's a slight vegetative thing to it, like green pepper, like fresh cut peppers.
Somebody's saying it's not on YouTube. It is on YouTube. Go and look and check on YouTube. Ask somebody that's 12-year-old how to work a computer. I just checked. It's definitely on YouTube. All right.
Now, again, you're getting that wee touch of vanilla coming from the American oak. Yeah. Nah, let's be honest. It's not massively complex in the nose, but it's a blend-up whiskey. So I mean, this is a entry level.
Oh, there we go. I still have the box with the mystery bottles of black stuff waiting for you here. Yes, we'll maybe get around in 2025 when lockdown's over, because we're not allowed to go anywhere, Mark, remember?
Right. That's actually easy enough to drink. I mean, I wouldn't say necessarily there's bags of flavour in it.
Whoa, I don't mind that. I don't mind that.
It's quite sweet. It's a very light sweet. I wouldn't say there's bags of flavour in it, but it's a blended whiskey. It's not necessarily supposed to. It's supposed to just have a pleasant enough taste to it where you can maybe stick it in a cocktail. But it's got a nice wee sweet. There's a wee touch of mint to it as well. You like minty.
There's a warmness to it. There is a warmness to it. That's actually not bad.
That's okay. Yeah, I wouldn't rant and rave about it, but it's not bad at all.
It's not bad at all. It's that one there. Have I a bigger picture of that Irish American one? What do we see? There's a bigger picture of it. Look at that there.
So what do people at home think about it?
Well, I don't know. I haven't got right down to the bottom of that list yet, Marty. There's an awful lot of people watching tonight. An awful lot of people, probably because we're being watched in India as well. That's probably the problem. You know.
Yeah.
Let me see. What were people saying about this? Mark Kerr saying very pleasant. I think a cocktail would drown it. It might do.
Might do, but there's not bags of flavour with it. But it's fairly light. Quite there's a touch of sweetness to it. There's that wee vegetable note and a wee bit of mint. So yeah.
Yep. Stanley Sung saying it's light. Mark Kerr saying it's smooth and vanilla. Yeah. Michael Matthews is saying biscuit and bread flavors on the nose with a hint of fresh grass.
Yeah.
I'm getting good at this. It does smell like fresh bread rolls baking in the air fryer. It does.
Fresh bread rolls. You and your air fryer. You're obsessed with your air fryer. But no, I think that's okay. I wouldn't go daft about that if I'm honest.
Yeah, Andrew McAllister saying that was 25 minutes ago. Justin Cheeky saw it. Yes, it's linear when it's live. It's linear when it's live. Okay, but when it's past live, it's recorded and it's there forever until I get Zuckerberg.
You're like the Australian.
I'm gonna move to Australia, Marty. I'm gonna move to Australia. Mark Kerr's trying YouTube. Listen, if you're watching it, you're watching it. Don't switch over. Don't switch over. If you're watching it, you're watching it.
Wait.
John Dunn saying it's working fine on YouTube. You are a tube.
See, this is what I have to put up with all the time, guys. You have no idea. I'm ranting and raving.
I mean, there's the link in YouTube. There it is. There's the link. There's the link.
My cap's not coming off.
He can't get the bottle open. He can't get the bottle open.
No, it's just turn it.
You can't get the bottle open. That's terrible, Marty. Do we feel for Marty? Do we feel for Marty? Probably not. He can't get the cap off.
It's not catching. I swear to God, it's not catching. I can't get it off. So I'm going to have to rely on your review of this, Justin. That's a bit good.
Tape it through to me. Tape it through to me quick. Tape it through to me quick.
I can't get the cap off. It's just sitting spinning. I could go and get a pair of pliers or something.
I tell you.
Oh my good God. That's all. It only ever happens whenever you're live, and that's, you know.
It's live television. Well, I'm surprised the dog doesn't come up and pee on you or something like that. There.
I'm surprised he's not humping my leg because he was trying to do it with his owner earlier on. Two was.
Gosh.
No, I can't get my lid off. It's stuck. Unbelievable.
Away and get the lid off in the kitchen. You go to the kitchen and I'll fill for you for
me, Justin.
I'll fill for a minute. Now, make sure you follow us on Facebook and on YouTube. YouTube, it's /Irish Whiskey Review. You can watch live there. If it doesn't work live, log in, log out again, come back in again. It'll be there. I can assure you. It's definitely there unless YouTube is blocked in your region because you're under 21 and you're not allowed to drink. Now, also, you can buy us a coffee. It's on Buy Me a Coffee /Irish Whiskey. Quite a lot of you have already. Thank you very much for that. We're planning a trip once we get out of lockdown, which has been extended for another 6 weeks. So I don't know where we're going to go, but we'll go somewhere. Also, make sure you comment, like, and share, and tell your friends about it. Here's Marty back. Here he is.
Success.
Good. Now,
finally.
I'll put that one away. I'll lift the one with the blue label.
So this is 10 years old. Single malt, aged American oak, same as the blend. No, maybe cap with some. So I have a wee pair of snips out there. So I snipped the cap off.
Don't you bring him up and saying I got metal in my bottle or anything like that there?
No, Justin, we don't go for that compensation culture. That's not our way.
That's an American thing.
No, there's plenty over here. I'd like to see him, Justin. I don't. No. So, on the nose. Oh, that's really sweet. Really sweet. Oh, there's a very nice honey thing to that. Again, there's another biscuity note there too.
That's totally different. That is totally different, that one.
And there's like a black currant. There's like a little black currant note.
What percentage are these?
They're 40. 40.
Both 40. Is that especially for the American market? Is it, Marty?
No, that's a sort of entry level. That's what most whiskies are. It's really only as a good friend of the show once said, it's 46%. Oh, it's non-chill filtered. Well, it's because I couldn't afford a chill filtration. Yeah, that's pleasant on the nose now. It's got a very sweet quality to it. It's coming through. Yeah. Again, that vanilla. Yeah.
Mark Kerr saying winter berries. Michael Matthews enjoying the blend. It's not a race. It is a race because we like to do an hour because when I restream this on Instagram, they only let you do an hour. And we have a full, I think we have 20-minute video to do still, don't we? Something like that there. We do, yeah.
No. Yeah. I just got a whiff of strawberry there. Yeah, that's pleasant on the nose. And
Mark Kerr saying a bit of butter. Yeah.
There's another little mint quality there. There's that little prickle of mint coming through. That's all right. Yeah, that's not bad at all. For 10 years old, it's actually got a nice body to it. It's not overly heavy bodied. It's got a nice sort of light, refreshing.
The after feel is pretty good too.
I wouldn't say there's a huge amount of development on it. I mean, that vanilla's coming through. That's just coming through. Again, another very light. If I'm honest, that would be something I would drink in the summer. If it's warm, that would probably be more of a summery whiskey for me because it's got a nice light. You know, if it was a nice warm day, you could sit and sip over that. It wouldn't necessarily be something I would drink at winter time. But they're both. I tell you what I do like. I like the fact that they're both very similar, which gives it a sort of natural trait. You know, both light, sort of medium bodied, very easy to drink, palatable. Again, that wee minty thing on both of them. So yeah, I like the fact that they're similar. They're not trying to be too different from each other, if you know what I mean.
No, I'm with you. They're quite a contrast between the two, actually.
Well, there's a contrast, but there's a very sort of similar notes. I mean, there's a very sort of fresh, grassy thing on that as well. Nose reminds me of banana bread. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say there's a wee touch of banana there. Yeah. So two.
It's pretty good. I'm well pleased with our internet stability tonight, Marty. I'm getting the full 5 bars here.
Well, that's a better job. But like us, that's because you paid for an upgrade, Justin. You're now on the information superhighway.
Well, I have. I think it is a bit more stable actually. But there you go. James Morgan said, "Time to use the pen knife." Marty's left hand out of shot's probably bleeding away after he got himself. But
oh no.
That's good. That was very good of them at Irish American to send that through. It's very, very good indeed because it's quite difficult to get things sent at this particular time because of the Brexit and the transfer. Oh, yeah, don't we know all about it? You know.
Yeah. Oh, well. Tomorrow will be a better day, Justin. Everything's all going to come good. Just stick with the program.
Michael Matthews is saying that whiskey will do well in their primary market in the US of A. Yeah, we played the advert. The advert's very good. The advert is very good, you know.
Yeah.
Geordie Bird, you'll have to get an assistant for Marty to open the bottles. LOL. If anybody's getting an assistant, it's me. It's me. I'm getting the intern.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I can imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
You do know there's laws. You know it's not the 1950s now, Justin. There's laws about that. What you're thinking about.
I don't want to get Zuckerberg. You can't say it. You can't say it. You know. Oh boy.
Oh,
Kit Charles said I'm off and one again. Listen, I haven't drunk any of these. They're still there. They're still there. I'm saving them. I save them. Actually, I meant to pop them round to a friend of mine to let him try it as well. Seeing as the second bottle went to somebody else.
Oh no.
Don't get me started. Right.
So, what did everybody think of the single malt?
Can they be got in Northern Ireland? That's a good question. Did we ask that when he was on with us?
No, it didn't. But I tell you what you do: you go on to their Facebook page because they're quite social media savvy. They understand how it actually works. Makes a bit of a change, Justin.
Yeah.
So get onto their Facebook page and ask them where supplies it in the north, or who stocks it. I'm probably able to buy it through their website, but if you go on and ask them, tell them you tried it and you liked it, and you want to maybe purchase a few bottles. Yeah. So cheers, sure. Sean. Cheers, all the ones down there.
I'm sure they would do something for you. It's they're very social media savvy. We'll stick that up on the screen so as people can see it. We did it a couple of weeks ago, but this is the tasting of it tonight. Thank you very much for that. Mm-hmm. There you go. Thank you. We'll bring that up on the screen. There you go, Trevor. That's how you get it. Irish American Whiskey Official. Yeah. All right.
So you go on there and ask them. I'm sure they'll be able to help you out.
They're growing on me.
They're very easy drinking, which I can't remember. Who was it said? Was it Michael Matthews or Trevor said that it would appeal to the American market? It would. It's that very light, easy drinking. Which I mean, Bushmills brought out Red Bush primarily for exactly the same thing. You know, have it nice, light, and easy to drink. So yeah, no, that'll be okay in the States. I could see a lot of sort of your diehard whiskey fans going, it's not really for them, and it's not aimed at them. It's aimed to be very pleasant and easy to drink. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Sean O'Neill preferred the single. There you go. Good.
Yeah. The single is better, but the blend, nothing wrong with it. The blend's perfectly reasonable blend, easy to drink.
Oh, Mark Diamond's on the Jameson Caskmate tonight. Caskmate, yes, probably my spelling or my pronunciation. It's like when I was talking to Belgians about Casement, Sir Roger Casement, it's Casimo. I thought, okay, all right, whatever.
It's on the Caskmate. So I have a bit of a fondness for Caskmate. It's a stout cask finish. I really like it. The IPA I wouldn't be overly struck on, but the stout cask finish Caskmate is very good. So I think that was a perfectly acceptable and good tasting now. I think people like that.
We're getting some really good questions in tonight. It's almost two-packed the show tonight, actually, Maury, because we're going to go in more depth on the Wednesday podcast into the news items, I think, this Wednesday, aren't we?
Yeah, I think what we'll do is some of the news items, because there's so much on with the tasting and the Indian stuff, what I think we'll do is we'll go into a bit more on Wednesday on the podcast. So if you want to listen in on Wednesday, it'll be more to do with what was on the news, some of the terroir stuff and implications of it, and so on and so forth. So yeah, so join us on Wednesday on the podcast. Just say if you're in Justin's house, just say I don't want to start, but just say her and just say Irish Whiskey Review, and you'll get to hear it on Wednesday.
Okay, so it's that time of the night. We are going to link up live to India. So remember, comment, like, and share. Tell your friends. Here we go. Live to India. Fingers crossed. So, Marty, is this your merchant banker, Shivam, is it?
No, Justin. No. I do the news, the whiskey news every week, and I troll the internet looking for stories. And as you know, I've mentioned this lots of times now, that India is the biggest whiskey drinking nation in the world. And this guy, his face popped up, and he has opened a distillery in the Himalayas. He's a young guy, wants to bring premium whiskey to India, Indian, locally made, high quality. whiskey in, well, it's probably possibly one of the most beautiful regions in the world. So, Shivam Ganglani, how are you?
I'm very fine. How are you? Thank you for having me.
No problem at all. Now, I read up a little bit ago, and you went to university in Manchester, and you studied, was it economics or finance, business?
I studied economics from here in Delhi University. I'm from Delhi, India, and I did my undergrad in economics from here. And then I came to your part of the world doing finance and business economics from Manchester Business School. This is way back in 2013, a good 6-7 years back.
Yeah. And was it then that you got a taste for whiskey or like whiskey before you came over?
I think when I was there, you used to pre-drink before going out to a club, a group of friends. And we usually used to have bourbon whiskeys, not the regular scotches. I think primarily because they're more palatable and slightly on the sweeter side as compared to a traditional scotch. And I think our go-to one was Jack Daniels back then. I think it's a great tasting whiskey. It's got a great heritage, but yet it's positioned as a young brand. So I think they've got a cool legacy there. So that's what intrigued me into this world. And I think when I came back home in India, and I started understanding this industry over here, all those premium whiskeys, you get for £25 in the UK, are priced above the 3,000, 4,000 mark here in Indian currency in India. And I think probably less than 2% of India can afford that. So there's a huge gap, I feel, which could be addressed in terms of adding to the accessibility of great quality tasting whiskeys in India right now.
When you look at the figures, for whiskey consumption in India, now, just to put this into perspective for a lot of people, India has twice the population of all of Europe. It's 4 times the population of America. And the best-selling Scotch whisky in the world is Johnnie Walker Red Label, which sells about 18 to 19 million 9-litre cases a year. Of the top 25 best-selling whiskies, now I have to put a little caveat on that because some of these wouldn't be classified as whiskies in Europe. Indian whiskies occupy 13 of the 25 positions. So there's Officer's Choice, Royal Stag, Howard's Fine, Royal Challenge, Bangalore whiskey. And the sales figures for these are just incredible. Madol's, nearly 31 million cases. You're talking heading towards double what Johnnie Walker's producing. And it's just enormous.
So I'll give my take on that. Undoubtedly, we are the largest consumers of whiskey in the world. We love our whiskeys. And I think if you look at Officer's Choice, that comes from an Indian company called Allied Blenders and Distillers. They're headquartered in Mumbai. And they are the ones who sold, I think, 34 to 35 million cases and at its peak. So that's like you're saying, doubling what a Johnnie Walker Red Label is doing. But all these whiskeys are priced very, very economically in our country, right? So these are companies which started, growing, setting up based in the early 90s, like ABD, and they've taken around good 2 decades to be here and be on top of the world in terms of selling their whiskeys at that many numbers. And I'm sure that Officer's Choice is selling in more than 50 countries right now, apart from India.
It's just when you see it in black and white in terms of the sales figures, it's just, it's mind blowing. Now,
Maury, can I ask him? You're saying this isn't going to be a premium brand, but it certainly looks a premium brand. When you look at the packaging of this, Shivam, it looks like a premium brand. It looks up there with the rest of them. That bottle looks pretty impressive coming out of that stream there.
Yeah. So we here at Ganglani Distillers, are maybe probably the second, third wave of whiskey makers here. You must have know of Amrut whiskey, the Amrut Indian single malt, which launched in 2004 in the UK. They were set up in 1948. We are probably the post-internet. So in India, internet became extremely cheap in post 2015. So what the consumers, the middle class of India, are right now looking at is access to global brands now. They're exploring, they're learning, they're traveling a lot more than what maybe my father's generation did, right? They were the first ones to head out. I think it's a great time. The next 2 decades, the next decade looks absolutely fantastic in terms of creating premium products, for the masses, because there's a huge bunch of Indians who are now spending more on experiences rather than buying their homes or cars.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of that was happened in the previous generation. They were making saving for building their houses, buying their first cars. But I think our generation, and the privileged ones, have that in order. And I think right now we are asking questions like, where is my whiskey made, right? How does it taste? And those questions may be rudimentary or for the European market or the American market, but that's where India is at right now. Right.
Yeah.
So if you look at Officer's Choice, it's made in some maybe 80 places in the country, right? And that's not a small task to manage.
No.
They have humongous operations because India has around every state in India is literally a country.
Yeah.
In terms of regulation, in terms of policy making, every state is a different country. So what these Amruts and Officer's Choice have been able to establish is give a base, a confidence level to the next set of people like us to take it further, to level up.
Yeah.
So I think you'll see makers from India coming about now in the gin space, in the whiskey space, in the beer space, presenting to the world more premium offerings, and that's what exactly we're doing at Ginlani Distillers here.
Now, your brand is Black Bull. And as I've said, you are based in the Himalaya. Why did you decide to set up operations in what seems a very remote area?
So Marty, when I came back to India, what I did was, before starting up anything, I traveled quite a lot across India. So I went to the northeast, beautiful place, a lot of green hills. I went to the south, which is the Deccan region in India. I went to the north. So if you look at the Himalayan region and the source of water, which is 60% of your whiskey, it's absolutely fantastic in that region. Yeah. So the source of water in the Himalayan region is absolutely fantastic. The quality of water over there, and I think when I was traveling across, I couldn't find any better place for a whiskey making in terms of not only water, but in the environment conditions, the aging conditions, everything in that space is probably the best in the world. And I truly believe it's in a similar capacity how Scotland is for the whiskey world and for the world. I think the Himalayas has a lot to offer, which is, I think, not explored as yet.
Well, the one thing about it is you are 6,000 feet above sea level. I'm right in that? Yeah. In terms of pressure, I mean air pressure, aging in casks, it'd be interesting to find out just how that interplay with the cask and the spirit is going to do at 6,000 feet.
So Marty, I think overall India is a tropical country, and we're also very young. We're also learning quite a lot. But what figures we look at, say from Amrut, the Paul John, the single malts which have started way before us, the angel share is slightly higher in a tropical country like ours, but the aging also happens faster.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we're experiencing. So the internet would tell you that it's maybe double, say a 3-year or a 5-year-old whiskey is as good as a 10-year-old whiskey in Scotland. But I think that number might not be accurate, but it's for sure faster from Scotland. Another, I think, global example is called Kavalan. I think those are all. That's also in a tropical country in Taiwan, and I think they're also releasing non-age statement whiskies, primarily because of the fact that if you're a 5-6-year-old whiskey and it's as good as a 8-10-year-old, I think it's a set pattern that you release a 12-year-old or 15-year-old, 18-year-old. But I think that pattern is now breaking. We're the world is seeing a lot of non-age statement whiskies. Kilchoman is doing it, I think, in Islay. I think Teeling is doing a phenomenal in Ireland. So I think that's what you're seeing through. You'll see through Indian whiskies as well.
Yeah. Now, Irish whiskies, because we're Irish whiskey review. Do you have any Irish whiskies over there? I see whiskey behind you. Is there any of those Irish?
I do, in fact. I do. I have 3 of. I have 3 of them. So you have the one which I think probably the world knows now.
Everybody knows Jameson.
Jameson. I think they're doing a pretty good job there.
They are.
I think I'm a fan of this guy called Conor McGregor. You must have heard of him.
Oh yes.
Have you heard of Conor McGregor?
Maury doesn't like him.
Yes,
Well, he doesn't like his whiskey. But I love him in case he fights me.
Whatever he is, you might like him or not, but I think he's putting your flag up high in all across the world, I guess. So
yeah, definitely.
So, I think more power to the guy. So we've got to. Although I truly feel my whiskey is better than his.
That's not big.
And I'm not
that's
joking
not,
about it. We can have a bout.
That's not a big ask. Not a big challenge to be better.
He would like, yeah. I think if you do a fire off between Proper 12 and Black Boy, I think we would.
You would win hands down. Now, you have a bottle of tea in there as well.
Oh boy!
Justin's scared in case Connor comes.
I've got another one. Yeah. I'm yet to try this one. This just came in. A friend bought it across.
Very nice.
That'll be the best of the 3 Irish you have there. That's very good. Very good. I was drinking it the other night. A bottle sitting down.
Yeah.
In terms of your actual production, what capacity do you have? Is it a big distillery, small distillery, craft, or are you wanting to go for volume?
So we are yet to kick in big numbers. We're just sorting out. We're experimenting. We take help from sometimes from a nearby distillery as well, because we don't have all that stock. So and that's also in the Himalayas again. So for us right now, we just stepping, making our first few steps in this world. What was surprising to me, Marty, was there were whiskeys made in the Himalayas earlier, right? In this region, in this part of the world, but no one really gave it that respect. No one really gave it the amount of respect that the region deserves. And I think we are doing that, and we've just made our first few steps. Good. And it was a pleasure that you reached out to us to explain our small little journey we've just begun. And I think there'll be a lot more in the future. And probably very soon we'll invite you guys over, and you'll get to taste.
Do you have a background?
Justin wants to go already.
Do you have a background in farming, Shivam? Do you have a background in any kind of farming? Because I see you there. You're actually in a field there. It looks like you're testing the chaff there. And I just think to myself, you can be book learnt at Manchester University, but this is a big step for quite a young man.
It is. So to answer your first part of the question, I don't have a background in farming, right? What I fundamentally feel is I collaborate with people. I learn from people, and I'm ready to mold myself. So this fundamental thing my dad told me. We live in Delhi. We're from Delhi, the capital of the country. And when you go down to the Himalayas, you have to carry your jacket. Right? You have to mold yourself to the region. If you're going down to the beach, you'll have to wear shorts. So in business as well, I have to consistently collaborate, learn from people who are at their best, and absorb it, because I don't have that much time,
Yeah.
to get into everything myself. So we collaborate with different makers, and understand from their journeys, and what maybe in their current capacities they wanted to do, but they couldn't do it. So I meet certain, your blenders and distillers who keep on experimenting,
Hmm.
but their experiments don't get released, right? Sometimes.
Yeah.
And then the vision for me, for my whiskey is, it has to be extremely flavorful and palatable, at the price point I'm offering it in India. um, it's really smooth, and all those factors are coming from my global exposure, right?
Yeah.
So there's a certain way Indian whiskeys are made. I'm trying to change that, keeping in mind the next decade, keeping in mind what I would like to, go and have it in a bar. Um, uh, that mindset, because big companies in India are run by 50-year-olds, 60-year-olds, and I think they've done a phenomenal job. But going forward, you need, and that's my 2 cents. You need a fresh take, because the audiences are evolving here in India. We are a very young country. The median age of the country is 29 right now,
Yeah.
right? So we've got a glorious next 2 decades ahead of us, and I think every one of them will premiumize. Everyone will make sure their wallet size is increasing, and then they try great tasting whiskeys. And also, I think, Justin, Marty, what's happening here in India is, 2 decades back we might not have taken pride, to be honest, in the kind of quality Indian whiskeys
Yeah.
were producing, right? But now I think, post 2015, I think, the younger crop is coming up, and giving you your, great tasting Indian whiskeys, and we are taking pride in that. Just how, the Irish already do.
Yeah.
We are coming onto the global stage now, and we're winning awards, and we have the numbers to back
We
us,
do.
right? There's no doubt of that. We're 1.4 billion strong people,
It's it
so
just
we're coming for the world now.
you're coming for the world. I mean, in terms of the economy of the growth, 7+% a year, and obviously COVID has played its part in everybody in the world economy. But when you see the US has 2,000 distilleries in it now, I mean, India could have easily that, and there's going to be really exciting things coming out of India. I honestly think it's just an amazing place. Me and Justin are guides, and we get Indian groups coming over, and Indian people are so fun. They have a level of joy that most other countries just don't have. They're just fabulous people, hilariously funny in times. And what is it about Indian men and their hair? They're always the hair has to be always 100%.
We don't have any hair, Marty. You're just jealous.
Just jealous.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But Shivam, it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Mario, I'll send some nice oil over to you.
Yes. Get my hair. Justin needs to be we mop, we cloth just to get his hair shiny. Shivam, it's been an absolute pleasure, and I wish you all the success in the world, and we'll stay in touch. And if I can, I told Shivam about Irish poaching. He's never even heard of poaching. I'm going to have to get a little bit of it sent over to him, because I could see how Irish poaching might work in India. Because it's an awful lot cheaper than whiskey. Bags of flavour in it. Maybe something for the future. Who knows? For a long time, poaching was illegal because it was made at home, and so there was no tax paid on it. And it's always been the poor relation of whiskey, but it's not really. Now it's a protected brand.
But you must always pay the tax man, Shivam. That's the most important thing. The tax man always wants a bigger share than the angels. Isn't that right?
A far bigger share than the angels.
I just have to show my Chennai Super Kings.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Fantastic.
You're a Dhoni fan. You're a Chennai Super Kings.
Dhoni,
Yeah,
what a
yeah.
player.
I think
Nice Super.
absolutely fantastic. I think that guy is Captain Cool.
Captain Cool. He definitely is. Shivam, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Marty and Justin, for having me. And
Right. All the best. Shivam, thank you very much. All the best. Cheerio. Bye-bye. 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 Now, Marty, what about that? Big show tonight. Big show tonight. Lots of questions there, which I'm sure Shivam will get to see when he awakes in the morning, because it's the middle of the night there now. And that was obviously recorded last Sunday.
It was. Stop you trying to cheat our guests, our viewers, because you know it was recorded last Sunday. Now, nice guy, clever, going to go places. Now, I want to just talk a wee bit about Irish whiskey in India and a little bit in Asia as well. Irish whiskey in India grew. Now, it's not starting from a big place, okay? It's only selling small thousands of cases. But to give you an idea of what it grew by last year, it grew by 58%. 58% growth. Jameson grew by 65% last year. Now, you don't need to be doing that for too many years until you start making a bit of a dent. Now, a lot of that is the GTR, the global travel retail end of things. But they are the potential in India. Irish whiskey makes up, in terms of sales of whiskey in Asia, 0.04%. Right? So it's tiny. Scotch and Japanese, by contrast, are 5.9. The rest of that's all Indian stuff itself. Now, I'll just put this. This is the sort of last figures that I want to talk about.
People want us to go for 90 minutes. The next thing you know, we'll be going for 3 hours and 29 minutes. What's that all about?
No, I don't think so, Justin. I'll not be going for no 3 hours. I have to get drunk at some point, Justin. I can't sit here sober all the time. No, just to put this into perspective, the US are the second highest consumers of whiskey, and last year they sold, or they drank 500 million liters. 500 million, 500, just shy of 500 million liters. India, 1.5 billion liters of whiskey sold drunk last year. Now think about that. Now, all if you just think about it for a second, how much potential there is in that country. How much? I mean, Johnny Walker is a big player. Obviously, it's a massive brand, but it doesn't even come close to that place. And the potential that there is in India, in every regard. When you've got guys like Shivam, who, whenever I read his bio, I read a wee interview with him that he gave to another magazine, and I just thought to myself, that guy's going to go places, but so's the Indian whiskey market, and I think it's just super, super.
Some of the comments tonight are fantastic. I just love it. Brilliant. What a show, Marty. What a show. Those figures are astounding as well, actually.
They are staggering. They're absolutely staggering. And you know something, you'll agree with me on this. Indian people enjoy themselves in a way that no other nation does. They've just got such a joy for life. I absolutely think they're fabulous people. They're funny, friendly, a bit mad.
They have a joy de vivre which we have lost, I'm afraid. And Americans obviously have, because if they're working every hour God sends and not taking any holidays. Yeah, must do. Okay.
Honestly, I think they're just fabulous people, and I wish them every success. Now, and I seen there was some questions about still size and barrels and that. We're going to get Shivam on the podcast to do a wee interview with him on that as well, and we'll ask him a bit more specific about his operation, because we can't buy Black Bull.
which is unfortunate. I'd love to try it, but unfortunately, at the minute we can't buy it. But we'll get him on the podcast and have a wee bit, ask him a wee bit more specifics about his own.
You've got to laugh. Darren Barney Milligan, whiskey boat tour to India. Yeah, it would be slightly more than buy me a coffee if that would be it. You know, if we rented the ship, Murray me could have the captain's cabin and he could have the president's suite and stuff like that there. You know, so yeah, it would be slightly more than buy me a coffee. Yeah,
it's just, I mean, the whole thing. You imagine the potential. If you could go there and start selling Irish whiskey, I mean, you a tiny wee bit of the market, and you'd be the biggest Irish whiskey brand in the world. I love the fact that you had a bottle of Teelan there.
The Conor McGregor quotes. I've got a big pair of boots for you. I know. Why do you think I have two Audis that are exactly the same? It's so as I can waste one and change the plates.
Oh, right.
There you go.
Right, I'm going to have a wee quick rip. Now, if you want to buy any Indian whiskey, there's about 3 brands that you can buy over here: Amrit, Paul John, and Rampur. There's the 3 that you can buy. And don't be fooled into thinking that these are going to be very cheap, because they're not. Some of the Amrits could be reaching over the £800 mark, but they're reasonable enough. You know, they're affordable. You know, a lot of them are in and around the £35-40 mark. Do try them, because they're not bad. I don't think they're going to blow your socks off just yet. But whenever you've got those kind of sales figures, big at multinationals, 65% growth. The Indian economy is growing by about 10% a year, 10% plus. The middle class is getting bigger and bigger in India. Shivam says they're becoming more discerning, so on and so forth. Yeah, absolutely the potential there is just enormous.
Some great questions. James Morgan is asking, you know, maybe they have an Indian version of MGP. Well, probably they don't, because they do whiskies that aren't whiskies in India, don't they?
Well, what they do, they basically do the same as what Japan has been doing. You know, they buy in, they buy stuff in, or they cut stuff in with basically grain neutral spirit. You know, so although it says it's made with molasses and stuff, and you think it's rum, essentially what they do is they distill it to such a high percentage that doesn't really have any flavor compounds left in it, and then they water it down and add it to other stuff. So it's basically a blend of, but that's to bring the price down. You know, a bottle of the Officer's Choice and stuff in India is about £7 a bottle. Now, if you're putting Irish whiskey in India, there's 150% tax on that. So to put it in perspective, if you sell your bottle for £5 in India, they add £7.50 in tax. So suddenly it's £12.50, and it's heading towards twice the price of the stuff that they have. Now, they just can't afford it. I mean, you're talking about a very poor country, but it's getting richer, and it's getting richer all the time. And, you know, as it gets richer, people get to afford, as Shivam says, people are getting to pay for experiences. They're having more money, more disposable income. They can buy these things. You imagine they take to one brand of Irish whiskey, what that'll do to that company. Say they decide we really like Cologne. Well, Cologne, you need to build about 40 Colognes to make it work. even a dent in the Indian market. But I mean, you take it that they like Bushmills. Bushmills would have to build 5 new distilleries just to service what they would look for. You know, it's just incredible. And I hope and pray they get everything going for them, because they really do. They're fabulous people, and I think they're hilarious a lot of the time.
There we go. We want to give William McLennan the last word. He couldn't get his top off his bottle either. As always, great evening, guys. You're making lockdown just that wee bit better. Wait until we're out of lockdown and we'll get away on that trip. I can tell you, I'd want to go to Canada and India and maybe never come back. So,
yeah, we'll see. If all these new releases that keep coming out, I have to buy them out. I'm going to have to I'm going to have to resort to prostitution or something. Although in saying that, I could hardly give it away. Never mind sell it. But but you know, as I say, they keep releasing these whiskies, Justin, and I don't know what I'm going to do. You know. Anyway,
Good night.
stay safe, everybody. Take care.
Yes, it will be some trip on the way home. India on the way home. Kit Charles, Bushmills are building 3 new warehouses as well. Yes, we know.
You need about 300 to cope for the India.
Easily. Here we go. Night.